In the last section, we studied fundamentals of artificial neural networks. We saw their basic building blocks and how do they function and how do they train. In this particular video, we'll now be moving on to preparing the data for ingestion into neural network. This is to predict the stock prices by building a neural network based model. So let's look into the code and see how do we prepare the data. So first of all, to prepare the data, we need to import pandas because that will help us process the CSV. And we'll ignore the warnings for now so that our output looks a little bit more cleaner. So we have this Apple stock prepared data in which we have the volume, the close lag 1, close lag 2, moving average, RSI based features and event based features as well, and we are trying to predict the closing price. So what we'll do is we'll take all the columns except the closing price, put it in a data frame called X, and we'll put the closing price in a data frame called Y. Then from scikit-learn.model-selection, we will import train test split. We import random, give it a seed so that every time we do this split, we get the same data sets back. And we also set the random state here. We call the train test split function, pass the X and Y, and we give the test size as 20%. This 20% will actually be used for both test and validation sets. So we get the training and test sets here. Then we pass in this 20% which is test set again into train test split with a test size of 0.5. So now this data will be divided into 50-50%. 50% goes into the test data and 50% goes into the validation data. So now we have three data sets: X train, which is the training data set, X test, on which we'll test, and X validation, which will be used for validation and parameter tuning. Also, we define this function numSteps, which takes in the total length of the data, then divides it by batch size, adds 1 to it to get the steps per epoch. Let me explain this with an example. Say you have 100 total length of the data set or 100 total examples. Batch size is 10. Then if you divide 100 by 10, you are going to have 10 steps, which means in 10 steps, you'll cover all the data once. So that is what steps per epoch means. And then you obviously have number of epochs. So here in our dataset, we have about 156 examples. So in 15 steps, we'll be covering 150 examples if our batch size is 10. And we'll need one more step to cover the 6 examples. So that's why there are 16 steps per epoch. And this will vary depending on the number or the batch size. So that's it for this video. We have prepared the dataset to be used with the artificial neural network.